It was a dark and stormy night. A night to Never Gonna Do That, the podcast for potheads and everyone else too, not just magic mushroom munchers. I'm your Jolt soda wizard man Garrett, and today my co-host Sara Smile and our very special co-host Lisa Lovely are here to discuss stories of drugs and discovery. Here are the content and trigger warnings. We talk about drugs and being inebriated. We also swear a bunch, and any facts presented in this show are meant for entertainment only. If you want to expand on anything you hear, shoot us an email to nevergonnadoThatpodcast@gmail.com.
By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to be recorded.
Pretend you're in Hamilton and you're in the cast and you're getting warmed up for your debut. You ready? You know Zip, Zap, Zap. Let's go for this. Anywho. So I guess today, it's not necessarily my idea, but I will frame up a little bit and I kick it over to my friend today. Essentially, I guess the idea is stoner movies or day in the life of a stoner.
The Stoner Adventure.
The Stoner Adventure.
The Adventure of Stoner Stonyton III.
Shit. Maybe it's breaking away from the family.
I think that's already a movie.
So it's the opposite of a kid going down the wrong path. He's actually going down the right path.
Ooh.
The story of a square growing up in a family of pot farmers. And it's, trying to break away, run away.
Well, okay, so the typical story of a kid who gets messed up on drugs, it's always some all-American family or some bullshit excuse for an all-American family, and then their kid goes rogue and starts smoking dope, and he gets high, and all he wants to do is smoke weed all the time. But the opposite. So it's a stoner family,
yeah,
or farmers or whatever.
It doesn't have to be in agriculture.
It's important that the family are stoners because when the kid goes down the opposite path, he's doing all the right things, and he won't get involved with pot.
This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain not on drugs. Oh my God, get that egg in the pan quick.
I know, it has a big Family Ties feel.
Oh.
Bringing in the...
Michael J. Fox?
Yeah. The family was the hippie dippies, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were super hippie
yeah.
dippy.
Yeah.
He was the one that didn't fit.
Yeah, he was their badass little kid.
Like attitude.
He was like a shit, yeah.
I guess we're equating like stoner with liberal, which it doesn't necessarily have to be that.
That's a good point.
Oh.
But it's like, oh, you long hair, smoking dope.
Libertarians love pot.
There you go, growing on your own land.
They love pot and not wearing seatbelts.
And maybe your kid is like... I want to go to Sears driving school and I want to get a driver's license and I want to go hang out with the kids in town and I want to be a socialist, which is kind of a libertarian, but totally not.
What if the kid...
I'm trying to throw you off the trail.
Kind of, but totally not.
What if the kid in the family that doesn't smoke pot and everyone else does, and he goes down this adventure, or she goes down this adventure, and they learn about themselves, and they learn smoking pot is actually a good thing?
Yes, but we need to take a really long road to get there. At the end, this person is like, actually, maybe this ain't so bad.
It's almost like an inverse of some types of stoner movies where they start off smoking a shitload of weed and at the end they're like, maybe I'll take a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
But this is the opposite. It's the person that's never doing it. And then they find out that, you know what, man, I'm going to get fucked up pretty regularly now. That's the balls.
So the end of the movie, the last 20 minutes is just a balls out, hot, high adventure. A straight-laced, dramatic movie the whole time of him
but I think...
And then it's like he's like gets fucking blasted out of his mind.
I think the third act is where he realizes that he needs to smoke some of the dankest weed he can find.
The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, so that they can stop aliens from attacking the family farm.
But they go about it the right way and they get a medical card. They're going to play it by the book.
There's a genetic condition in the family that they need to be high all the time or else they'll die. I don't know.
That sounds like a very likely story.
I'm losing it there at the end, but...
I like that story. I'm going to keep that one when I apply for my medical card.
they have to go on a ridiculous wild goose chase adventure because every good stoner movie has a police chase, or Scott Pilgrim, for example, he has to fight a video game. He has to fight all these different levels.
The 7 evil exes.
Right.
7 evil boyfriends, exes.
There's like a journey. There's all these weird things that happen.
And through the journey, everybody is always high, but them.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So like the cops they run into, the cops are high.
Everyone. I like this.
They somehow get into a frat party or something, and they are kicked out because they're not stoned.
And it's all of these wild hijinks that would happen in a stoner movie, but it's the straight man to the comedic stoner. But then what brings them around to the idea that they want to do drugs?
Well, there's just so much shit that keeps on happening, and everybody around him is...
They're like, you need to relax, man. You need to...
He's like the last man standing. Everybody's like, just chill, man. Just calm down. It's cool. Everybody's cool, calm, and collected, and he's losing his fucking mind. But then he gets to a point where he's like, okay, fine, I'm going to try this because everybody seems to be okay.
There's that moment where they lose their shit and they're like ripping off their shirt and just screaming and going crazy. And they're like, fine, I'll do it. Oh, this is all right, man.
So that's I really need to just step in as the voice of reason here and say, if we were to pitch this story...
Never gonna do that.
If we were to pitch this story, we would be saying essentially that the moral of this story is given to peer pressure and you'll find the light.
That is literally...
That's exactly what you guys are saying. All the way he's holding out for the straight and narrow. Everybody's doing it and they're like, why aren't you doing it? He's like, you know what? I'm so tired and stressed out from everybody pressuring me. I'm just gonna smoke a bowl. And then he's like, yeah, man. And then it like ends with him like partying.
It is a promotional film
for weed.
Funded by the recreational pot growers of America.
Yes. You're maybe editing the film. It's like, what song is this? We want like a "And America." Like, what is the song that would be going like "See to Shine"? Like, what is it?
The whole thing. It's all Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg.
Oh, Snoop Dogg as a propagandist. Can you imagine?
He owns his own company, actually.
And so he could then like fund it. No, seriously, like, wouldn't that be great if it was that like propagandist film?
What if along the way?
Not around the way.
Correct. I know around the way girl here, okay? We're going along the way on their journey.
Yes.
And along the way, their stops have to be with different celebrities that are like known for being stoners. So Martha Stewart would be one.
That's the first one you come up with. Martha Stewart is
the first one. Well, because
she's
like, her and Snoop Dogg.
Lisa's off Facebook, but she is on Instagram, and we all know Martha Stewart on Instagram.
God, did you see that thirst trap photo that she posted in the pool?
It was just her coming out of the pool making a kissy face.
Listen, that woman, she just looks like an old white lady now, but like if you look back at her old photos, her modeling days, like gorgeous. Yeah, she was a model. Stunning.
Yeah, and her sheets aren't comfortable for nothing. I mean, she knows how to make a bed and bed people in it. Martha Stewart for Kmart.
She could decorate a home like nobody's business.
It's a good thing.
She's a good thing.
They would have to just meet with different
stoner you're not pulling out any other celebrities. It's just Martha Stewart.
When I think of stoners, the first comes to mind is Martha Stewart.
I do. I love it so much.
Yeah, Martha Stewart. Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. Thick as thieves, those two.
And they cook together too, don't they?
No, I love that about
I think they had a show together, yeah.
They did. What are their celebrities?
Seth Rogen.
Oh, is he?
Oh, is he?
I'm sorry?
All right, did you see...
He seems like a fine person.
Did you see any Seth Rogen movie?
I don't like to make any presumptions.
Literally, he's a stoner in every movie that he's in because he's stoner.
Yeah,
well, I'm a stoner in every movie I'm in.
Do you remember that episode of that TV show that was on Netflix where some guy took him out to lunch and they were in, I think it was Vancouver.
Oh!
And they just roll around smoking weed and eating.
And he was like a fun time.
Yeah.
For a good time called Seth.
I think that guy has it in his contract that he has to smoke weed in a movie.
What about the guy that has that one, is it a podcast or he's a comedian?
Oh, that comedian with the podcast.
Yeah, every one of them.
Who is it? The guy that smokes weed all the time? Like
Doug Benson.
What's his thing? Is it
Getting Doug with High?
Have you seen that? Oh my God, it's so good.
No.
He also did that whole documentary, Super High Me.
Oh yeah. You told me about that. I don't know if I saw that with you.
We watched it together.
Did we? Well, I was probably high and I forgot. We were going through some of the stuff and like some weird ones that escaped us that maybe aren't like stoner films, but involve pot in some way. Like, what was it? Saving Grace?
Saving Grace was cute. It's a British movie from like the 90s.
With
Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, this British widow, her husband died and left her in super debt. So Craig Ferguson asks her to help him with his weed plant.
That are dying in a forest, and she is like an orchid.
She realizes that she can make a shitload of money by growing and selling weed.
It's such a lovely film. This is what we said when we saw the cover. We're like, oh, we thought that was a rom-com. This is about an old lady farming weed with Craig Ferguson. What is this? And then we got really excited. And it was one of those things that, yeah, maybe there are those movie covers where you make assumptions based on what it looks like. God, this movie isn't what that is at all. Like the photo looks like they're having a moment together, and really that moment in the film is they're like getting high on a cliff or something.
Yeah, it's like the cover of Mom and Dad Save the World. I don't think there's any weed in that movie, but man, that would be a fun movie to watch high. Mentioning fun facts, did you want to throw your fun fact there about orange juice and that one guy?
Okay, fun fact. Bing Crosby was essentially a spokesperson for orange juice for decades, right? He was enlisted to help make the drink popular with Americans after World War II because there was this backstock of all this concentrated juice. He had to sex it up with his crooner's voice, and he was like, OJ.
Yeah, Bing Crosby made orange juice everybody's breakfast drink.
But you also know that his voice wasn't always low.
Ma'am, I did not know that. Please do enlighten me.
He got kicked in the head by a mule.
No, he did not get hit.
I have absolutely no idea.
I want to say it was some severe, was it strep throat? No, he had like his tonsil, laryngitis. He had something, his tonsils out, and I can double check that.
Did they nick his like voice box?
His voice was a lot higher, and it only got deeper after those surgeries.
Why?
And then he became known for that.
Scar tissue.
Scar tissue is a we do. Yeah, that was, and it becomes like a song about Red Hot Chili Peppers. But now we're in LA, and we're back to drugs.
It always comes back to drugs, doesn't it?
And LA.
There are some really great drug movies that take place in the South or Texas. Like I think.
Oh, location. Let's talk about location.
Like Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Where was that?
That's a Texas movie.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
I'm almost positive it's Texas.
Yeah.
It's a Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Texas guy.
That makes sense. But yeah, I guess you think about these stoner films, and it's a lot of times it is out in the summertime, or there's like a feeling to those films. But then there's The Night Before.
Oh, yeah.
That's a stoner film in the winter.
I know, I rented
but I'm trying to think of other stoner films in the winter.
I don't know, but it'd be great to see one in Alaska.
It's all about setting, and if you're staying in setting or if you're moving, like it's a journey film, where are the crazy adventures happening and what are those adventures?
Okay.
And I think it comes down to those scenarios that are the start of it all.
It's a town that needs to be saved, and so they start growing weed and selling it.
Maybe it's, you know, this towns where it's like it gets end up cutting out of a road passage or something, and then like slowly traffic's not coming through there anymore, and it's getting forgotten about, or people are moving away because the jobs aren't there anymore.
They need to raise money for a new airport
or something, yeah,
or just a new airplane so that they can get themselves stuff. Yeah.
So it becomes this heartfelt story, I guess, right?
You know what? Instead of weed, they should start growing mushrooms.
Is there a market in mushrooms?
I feel like weed is just something that people are a little bit more
relatable.
It also just feels like it's the lightest of the drugs.
Agreed.
People don't even consider it a drug anymore.
Is it a gateway drug?
It's definitely not a gateway.
It's a gateway to Toll House cookies.
100%, or a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Well, some fucking chocolate chip cookie.
A Ben and Jerry's story, real quick. My sister and I visited my aunt, and we never saw her a whole bunch because she went to college in another state, and she's not that much older. Sister and I go down to visit her. We're hanging out. We're having a great time. And then one night, they're like, hey, let's get some ice cream. And so go to the grocery store, and they get 1 pint of Ben and Jerry's to split between 4 of us.
Strap yourself in for that, girl.
2 adults and 2 teenagers are all supposed to share a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
I know there's supposed to be 4 servings in that little pint, but fuck that.
That's a bullshit fucking
I'm
serving.
running out of the woods, like screaming, I'm going to take my pants off. I don't care
It's
what
a
age
bullshit.
I am.
It's a pint per person, right?
100%.
PPP, pint per person.
P cubed.
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's, P cubed.
Yeah, that's ridiculous talk. That's nonsense talk. Never gonna do that.
Never gonna do that.
Can you imagine?
I'm like offended right now.
Write a note to your senator about it.
Well, I think it would probably be better to write your congressperson.
Oh, yeah, sure.
First of all, I don't want you having a spoon of my pint. Secondly, I'm certainly not going to share it with 3 other people.
I remember those days when like my mom would get a carton and it would be in the fridge in there, and then I'd get up the next day as me and I was like, why is part of this ice cream carton gone? It wasn't me. Was it you?
I at least had a brother I could blame things on.
Well, it was just me and my mom and the ghost.
Right, exactly. The ghost who ate the ice cream.
We didn't have a dog, so we were like, well, it must be you, Ted.
The ghost's name was Ted?
Yeah, absolutely.
You couldn't even have come up with something interesting like Scary Shally? It was just Ted.
No, well, because he likes to lay
Yeah,
low.
but you have to humanize them.
What about Dead
They
Ted?
were once people too, you know.
Well, no, hey, wait. Are we really assuming that ghosts used to be human?
I'm assuming the ghost used to be human.
All right, well, I don't think we should assume that.
What if it is a stoner film in the afterlife and it's just day after day after day? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you're thrown crazy situation, or maybe you have to go on some sort of event. I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Every time you say, I don't
am
know.
not high, but you guys, we're turning this into like the highest conversation I've ever had.
Yeah, man.
What if ghosts are human? And they're like, whoa! And I'm like,
and they were like, oh, what if it's a bunch of angels that get high, man, and they go to Earth to like see some humans, but they can't really do much because they're coasting and feeling the vibe.
Because stuff's awesome.
And it stars Seth Rogen and
James Franco.
Oh, of course, the whole gang.
Do those guys still hang out?
I hope so.
They do. I mean, like, I think This Is the End was sort of the high point.
Yeah, it's like the whole group. Who is it in there?
Everybody's in it.
But who's in it? That's like
every
everybody.
actor you can think
so
of.
Paul Newman is in it.
Well, his corpse, yeah.
Because it's the afterlife, and it's a stoner film in the afterlife.
No, it's just the dead rise up and walk around, I think.
That's an invention.
It is a movie in which Michael Cera sexually assaults Rihanna. So
we're both so shocked.
Everybody is in it.
We both gasped.
Everybody's in that movie. Who's that thumb-looking Magic Mike motherfucker? Who is that guy?
Channing Tatum? Can we get Twitch?
He makes me twitch.
What do you mean get Twitch?
Twitch is the dancer in Magic Mike. He's the black dude at the end of... Did you see the last
he's probably in this movie too. I'm just saying, This Is the End.
He's fine.
This Is the End. The thumb-looking motherfucker. He is in bondage gear on his hands and knees, barking like a dog.
I feel like this
happens in that movie.
This is you just railroading the conversation to talk about your fantasies.
It made me a Channing Tatum fan for sure. But
100% Magic Mike is what got me turned on to Channing Tatum.
Was he anything before that?
I'm sure he was something.
They designed him specifically for that movie.
They designed him like he's a robot. They just brought him in and they were like,
we're gonna... genetically created but I mean, no, he did not exist previous, and then that movie came along and they're like, well, we need something. Let's make a Channing Tatum.
For sure he's a robot. I mean, nobody actually looks like that.
And then they let him loose and he gained sentience and then did the 21 Jump Street movies.
Robot stripper, a Channing Tatum tale. And Vivica A. Fox makes an appearance from her stripper days from Independence Day, which never made sense to me.
What?
All right, wait. Do you know the movie? You know the movie Independence Day?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the sequel?
No.
There's a sequel, and we had a very long conversation about this recently about how Vivica A. Fox is a more believable doctor than she is a stripper. And the thing is,
she plays a stripper in the first one.
She's a beautiful woman. She looks
beautiful
the part.
She's a fine stripper. She's got the moves. There's no question.
It's just she's not a believable stripper, but I believe her as a doctor.
In the second one, she's all professional and she's like in her lab coat.
She's just a more believable doctor than a stripper.
Put it on your watch list. It's good.
Yeah, and actually, this is one of the few movies I have seen high. And yeah.
Oh, wow.
As long as you don't forget you're watching a movie, it's awesome.
The weirdest high experience. Have you ever done salvia?
The worst experience of my life. Oh my God.
I don't know how that stuff is on the shelves.
I literally have no idea how that's legal, but weed wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it only lasts 30 seconds. It's just the scariest 30 seconds of your life.
What have your experiences been?
So in mine, I remember I melted. I looked down at myself. I just like melted into myself. And like there was a sound effect and it was like, I could hear myself melting. And I remember I was looking down at my arm and there was a towel next to me and I didn't know where my arm ended and the towel began because my arm was the same material as the towel. And I was like, what? Where's my arm? I was baffled. And then I remember looking up and I thought it was the sun. It was very bright. And I was like, I'm not feeling good and I think I need help. And in my state, I thought that Claire had called an ambulance and they were coming to get me.
That would terrify me.
I was terrified. I melted. My skin was terry cloth and I thought that I was being burned by the sun. The whole thing was so weird. And then all of a sudden I was in my room and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And I could remember what had happened and it felt so real.
I shouldn't be laughing because that's what happened with Garrett.
Apparently, while I was in my little dream state, I must have been talking, but no words were coming out. It was just all garble. And
oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God, Lisa.
It was like you were possessed. It was so scary.
Oh my God.
There was always a babysitter. One person would do it and wait and babysit.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because you do trip out. And I did. And then I came to and I was like, let's never do that again.
Yeah. He lost touch with reality and then he starts going, and then he lurches up off the couch like a zombie. Just like wanted somebody to help him and hold him. You had said something where you were floating above the Lego town.
You know, when they had basketballs that looked like a globe or something like that, it was the rubber, but it had sort of dimply like a basketball.
Yeah.
And it was bright colors, and I was flying down. And these rubber Lego-shaped buildings, and I was flying over it. And the thing is, it just kept rolling, and I could never land.
And never again, Salvia. Damn.
Oh, man.
Have you ever seen Driving on Salvia?
I would never.
No, it's a video on YouTube, Driving on Salvia.
I just know I would never because the one time I did it, I melted.
Yeah, you would be useless.
Right. And I'm just afraid of what would happen. Like I would break with reality.
God.
Listen, you got to know your limits, especially when it comes to the drugs.
Yes.
I love that, Brianna. That's script.
Honestly,
you got to know your limits when it comes to the drugs.
And I think maybe this stoner movie should have that lesson in the end.
Ooh.
You got to know your limits.
Does he maybe have an experience where he trips a little too hard?
Well, and that's the wacky scene, of course.
That's how it starts. The entire movie is somebody who hits something a little too hard or like mixes stuff a little bit too much. And so that reality is like completely weird. And then that's their journey. But their journey is really just to go get some chips at the corner store.
What if it was to just flip the narrative structure completely on its head and you start, not the end of the film, but you start in this big climax moment of this party, and that party or the adventure becomes the way you quickly get to know the character, but it's extreme. So you get to see all the wild and wacky stuff, but it's heightened, so you see that it's too much for one life to handle. Or it's like there's a reverse. And then, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Please.
So it's this big party.
Yeah.
And then there's that record scratch that Catherine.
Of course.
That's me. I bet you wonder how I got here. And then the whole movie is like Memento, and it plays backwards.
It's kind of like Hangover meets Memento.
Oh, that's fucking good.
Yeah, because it is. You're trying to essentially piece together what happened.
But I like this idea of him coming in and narrating. I just pictured a literal DJ spinning a record and it's scratching to a halt, and then him breaking through the screen.
Oh, that
being
fourth
like,
wall break.
That's me.
Oh shit, that's good. And what if you could get everybody at the party to just stop? It's not like a literal freeze frame. You can still move around. It's like a flash mob.
The mannequin, whatever. It's like everybody pauses, but they're still.
And then there's that one person
alive.
that starts walking through and narrating the story
Harlem
a little
Shake
bit.
videos.
Or we could do it like the Harlem Shake too. That could be cool.
There you go. That's much better than what I was thinking. So you were introduced to Rick and Morty. This is a total diverge.
I was introduced to Rick and Morty.
There is something recently that just randomly. Okay, just essentially there's a snake planet and there's something called snake jazz. And show us what snake jazz is.
But all right.
That was the best snake jazz I ever heard in my life.
Summer has no idea where it came from, but she ended up putting it on her iPod and playing it for her friends.
Yeah.
And so it's her friends and her
in a bedroom.
In her bedroom.
Like
and all
doing
of them are
workout
like
moves. And her friend is like, I love snake jazz. It is actually really catchy. I'm like, I kind of dig this.
It's just that one thing over and over again.
Oh my God.
You just like repetition.
But yeah, it was lovely. I don't know where we were.
Snake jazz is fantastic.
Snake jazz is fantastic.
It is really weird how we have stayed on theme so much and yet gone off theme so much.
Several times.
Hey guys, wait, what were we talking about?
Oh my God, we'll just cut a bunch of those together as a promo for the episode.
Oh my God.
How many times on television have you heard the term mask debate?
Mask debate?
The debate about masks.
Oh.
A mask debate.
Oh, like a masked debate?
A mask debate.
A mask debate.
Have you heard the mask debate?
No. That's crazy. No, that's just wordplay.
I saw this whole supercut of news stations talking about the mask debate.
Oh, and they just keep saying it like
They keep talking about the mask debate.
That's insane.
NGDT fast facts. Pound sign. Hashtag.
I had said in some episode, hashtag Martha Stewart in the butt.
That sounds like you.
It's like, that's not how social media, you can't just say a hashtag and that's like what happens. It's like, what do you mean? You can't move your hands in the air to hashtag. Like it's like wizard power. You can't.
Can I
do
say
that?
this is a very Martha Stewart heavy episode?
I've already been told that I sexualized Goldie Hawn too much. You're like, you need to put her in some professional positions.
I did get emails about that.
Sarah, you sexualize everything.
I've heard that from other people.
Well, everybody can't be wrong.
Everybody can't be wrong.
Is that a song?
I don't know.
Sarah just made it one.
It's what I sing in my nightclub gig that I have.
You know, it's funny. It's also the same song you sing in my Night Terrors.
Oh my God.
Aww.
I keep coming back to this idea of wild adventures. If you were in this story, what would be the thing that would freak you out the most?
What do you mean? Like, what drug would I want to go on?
No.
Like, which one of the many adventures along the journey?
Yeah, let's just pitch some scenarios for like a couple minutes.
If I had to do it, I would want to do a weird-ass time travel thing.
Stoner time travel?
Yeah. For example, if, God forbid, I was actually high, and then somebody ran up to me, I'm you from the future. You can't go over there.
I love that.
I would really hope that whoever runs up to me and says, I'm you from the future,
what if they're high
you
too?
have to come with me. They're not actually me from the future. They're just some weirdo, and I'm too high to recognize it.
No, I really think it needs to be you from the future, super high, that accidentally time traveled. It's like, dude, you gotta help. I don't know what's going on. And then both of you are super high, traveling through time, trying to figure out what the fuck happened.
I don't know. I'm such a shopaholic. I feel like I would have to be something where I'm in a mall, losing my shit because there's so many lights and sounds.
And then you get locked inside the mall. I like the idea of getting locked in the mall overnight.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you just stay high die, obviously, overnight.
I was going to the mall because that's where the local Dairy Queen is, and I was like super stoned. And so I was just like, I just want a Blizzard from Dairy Queen. And then I go and I get locked in the mall because I was so high that I just walked around aimlessly, and then they shut down the mall.
Now you have to save the mall because you see that it's being broken into. Those are just the security guards.
I love this idea of getting locked in.
Is somebody actually breaking into the mall, or are they just so stoned that they think that the security guards who are just trying to like monitor?
Well, it could be either way.
It could really go both ways.
I think there should be an actual breaking and entering happening because this person should actually save the mall.
There could be levels to it.
Oh, at first they think the security guards are breaking in, then they find out a real break-in is occurring.
Maybe the people breaking in, everybody thinks that the other person is the other person.
Oh, there's twists upon twists upon twists until the entire plot is a granny knot.
Is that a term?
A granny knot, that's a real thing.
What is
I've
that?
never heard of that. What is that?
You've never heard of a granny knot?
I know what granny panties are.
It's a really crappy knot that if you just pull, it comes apart anyway.
Are you anti-granny?
Well, why are you
Grannies
guys-
unite against America.
Did you say grannies unite against America?
Actually, that probably wasn't the thing I should have said.
I think I am against anti-American grannies, yes.
I am too.
Pro-America, pro-American grannies.
And the other ones, they're potholders of shit.
And somehow it came back to Martha Stewart again. How did we do this?
She's an amazing granny.
And she's pro-America.
She's great. I watched a documentary with her the other day, Finding Your Roots or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Did she come over?
her father did, from Poland.
They visited you from Poland?
I'm talking about Martha Stewart.
Yeah, you said you watched it with Martha Stewart.
I watched a documentary the other day.
With Martha Stewart.
Yes, not like with her by my side. The documentary was with her.
You wished she was by your
I
side.
wish.
In a little nightie.
Yeah, she flew over from Poland to visit me.
I was wondering what she was doing in Poland.
Well, that's where her ancestors are from.
God, was she making pierogies over there and visiting bone churches? And I don't know what else she was doing.
That's a deep cut.
I know.
That was so deep it didn't make sense. All right, what about Sarah, your...
Well, I think with the whole idea of situations and thinking about trying to flip the script, I always see like a lot of traditional who the folks are on these journeys. So usually a lot of young people. I do like that Saving Grace movie. I think it could be fun to do something playing with this idea of the medical card or kind of the recreational cannabis and the clinics opening up. And maybe it's somebody that's retiring and they're like, oh, I'm going to get this card. I'm going to just smoke a little. And it's, I'm retired. I don't have to deal with so much. And then they become like a stoner in their 60s. Maybe they smoked a little when they were hippies and now they're in their 60s.
Like becoming an accidental stoner.
An accidental stoner. Like I remember one time I won these tickets to a Bob Dylan concert and we're both grumpy old people, even though we're not very old. And we were at this concert.
We were in our early 30s.
We were young, but very grumpy. And we were indoors at this concert and there were these people maybe in their 50s or something like that hitting a one-hitter in the arena. And Garrett was like...
No, it was because they were talking.
They were loud too. They were obnoxious.
Super
yeah,
loud.
They were high and unaware
at each other.
Yes.
And I was like, just shut up. I'm listening here.
Yeah. And it was like we were reprimanding our parents for them having a good time. But they didn't say anything, but I thought to myself, wow, they just are out and about trying to get high and relive their youth. Basically, we were like their kids going, God, man, like stop being this like hippy dippy fucking square, man. Like get it together. Like this is a show. Experience the moment. Or something. It was like,
I feel like that needs to be part of this adventure. This kid is like, no, stop smoking away your life. But then he realizes that smoking is life.
but it kind of comes back to maybe some of the stuff we were talking about. But I do feel like that idea of the, like, oh, the retiree, this accidental stoner, but that maybe becomes having to go to the kid's wedding or some other major event.
Like a funeral of a high school friend.
Yes, I'm smoking and I'm doing all this stuff. And so it becomes this journey of, oh, wow, I'm coming to this realization, but also I'm reconnecting with people along the way.
It's grumpy old stoners.
It's grumpy old stoners. Yeah.
But
there
you know
go.
what? I'm going to tell you something.
What are you going to do?
We're never going to do that.
I kind of like that idea.
I like it too, but we're not going to do it.
Okay.
We're not going to do Salvia.
Definitely not. This is a PSA for that.
No,
I'll tell you that.
Not going to do it.
No.
Not gonna
right?
do it.
Yeah, not at all.
Never gonna do that, never gonna do that.
That's what
never gonna do that, never gonna do that. Never
And I told you to
gonna
shut
Never gonna do that, never do that, never do that.
Never do that. Yeah, see?
She's a better singer than you.
Well, we're never going to take that band on the road. Believe it or not, what you heard here today is happening all across America. We live in a world filled with drugs. Parents, you have a responsibility to teach your kids to say, drugs? I'm never going to do that. Unless the person offering the drugs is very attractive or there's a chance to look cool in front of some new friends. For more lessons in parenting, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Not Do Dat Podcast, or send us links to dark web marketplaces at nevergonnadoThatPodcast@gmail.com. And remember, weed is not a drug.